Hey everybody, it's Leroy from Leroy Gaming with another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous video. And today we're going to come back to the series on creating builds for your companions that are meant to be thematic, that you can utilize within your playthrough naturally and innately. So today we're going to be focusing on one of my favorite companions, and that is Woljif. And so for Woljif, we're going to be doing a dueling Eldritch Scoundrel build. The whole focus for this build is keeping his high DPS using dual-wielded weapons, but also making him very survivable. He's going to have very high AC. He's going to be able to maintain buffs for a very long time. We're talking about 24-hour duration buffs, not only for himself, but he's also going to be buffing the group quite a bit with a couple utility elements. You will also see that he's going to be a bit of a skill monkey for you as well. So whether you need him to do your mobility, your perception checks, stealth checks, trickery checks, knowledge arcana checks, he's going to be very, very useful. So if you need that traditional rogue setup, but also want to make sure that he's not dying constantly where you don't have to heal him nonstop, well, this is the build for you. As of all my builds, I'm going to make sure that you're going to get a couple of features that are going to help you utilize this video very effectively. I'm going to have a spreadsheet for both his level 1 to 20 progression, as well as for the mythic progression level 1 to 10. You're going to see at the beginning of each section, I'm going to show it highlighted on screen, and then we're going to go in depth for the people that want it, and I'm going to explain every single level up, why we choose what feat, ability, and spell feature. Now, for your convenience, I have also in the description added a link to the Excel spreadsheet so you can download this spreadsheet if you want. Now, if you're going to just come in here and download the spreadsheet, but you still want to support the video, all I ask is drop a like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and most importantly, leave a comment. Let me know what you like about the builds, what builds you'd like to see next. That helps my video and my channel tremendously. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look at Woljif and his dueling Eldritch Scoundrel build. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and start with an overview of the level 1 to 20 spreadsheet. Couple things to point out. Because this is a companion, you will notice I have in yellow highlighted levels 1, 2, and 3. That's because he starts as a level 3 Eldritch Scoundrel. And even if you respec, you cannot respec these first 3 levels. So all these elements here in level 1 through 3 are presets. He's a tiefling. He has a background of pickpocketing. His deity is Calistria, and he is chaotic neutral. Another thing I want to point out here is at level 9, notice I have outflank selected, but then in parentheses I say Piranha Strike optional. So Piranha Strike is like power attack. It lets you sacrifice 2 hit to give you extra damage. Now for this build, I go for maximizing my 2 hit, and so I chose not to do Piranha Strike. Now, while this does lower your per hit average, it also makes it that you hit more consistently. And so you're going to hit more consistently, you're going to crit more consistently. We have very specific daggers that have a unique combination that kind of work with this, or a combination of effects that work well with this. So this is why I chose to not pick up Piranha Strike. If you want a more traditional build, then you can sacrifice one of the feats to get Piranha Strike. But remember, you're going to be at max level, losing about -4 or -5 to attack across the board. And that can be pretty considerable. You're going to miss quite a bit more. So this is why I chose Outflank to give you extra attack when you're flanking, as opposed to Piranha Strike. I like all the other choices, and because we are kind of a hybrid and we require some prerequisite feats to make this build work, everything else is kind of important. So you can make that decision. That's why you're going to have that highlight here And finally, I want to make a note about the skills. So your main skills you're going to be leveling up are going to be mobility, trickery, stealth, perception, and then knowledge arcana. Once you get your intelligence to level 20 or stat points 20, you're going to get enough stat points to partially fill up another skill line. And I chose use magic devices. So that's kind of up to you. You could also have a maximize use magic devices if you have somebody else that's your knowledge arcana specialist. But these top 4 ones are going to be his mainstays. So those are the main things. Also, when I talk about spells here, these are the spells I recommend because we are going for an overall kind of buffing build. One of the things that is a little interesting on this build is Enlarged Person. Enlarged Person will actually lower your 2-hit, but it's going to increase the base damage your daggers do. But the main reason I sometimes cast this on Woljif is so that he gets reach. And so if you have a lot of melee characters, this allows him to kind of be behind some of your frontline characters and still hit. So that is completely optional. You may use it sometimes to keep him alive at lower levels before he becomes more tanky, and eventually you probably won't use it. Otherwise, all the other buffs you're going to use consistently, and the majority of them outside of haste and displacement, we're going to get them to last 24 hours when you cast them, as you'll see in this build-up. All right, so that is an overview of the main feats. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the progression level 1 to 20. Okay, as mentioned in an overview, level 1, you're not going to get to choose anything because the character starts at level 3. So he's going to start with a couple of feats that are going to be pre-selected for you. You're going to automatically have weapon finesse for this build. You're also going to automatically have 2 weapon fighting, so he is going to lean heavily into dual wielding. You're also going to get access to the most important spell for your build, and that's going to be Mage Armor. This is what's going to help you get a huge part of your AC. He also gets the pickpocket background, so it's very natural for him to be your trickery and stealth specialist, and we're definitely going to be leaning into that. Overall, when it comes to his skills, you're going to be putting most of your points into mobility, perception, stealth, and trickery. Those are going to be your main ones. And then the other one that you're going to have really high is going to be knowledge arcana. That is my recommendation based on his high intelligence. And then once you get intelligence up to 20, you will be able to get some additional skill points. And I chose to use it for use magic devices. But that's up to you if you want to put it somewhere else. Now, I'm not going to be mentioning skill point levels up throughout this guide after now. Just note that you're going to always put, when you have 5 points, mobility, perception, stealth, trickery, and then, in my opinion, knowledge arcana. And when you have a 6th point, I would put it in use magic devices. Now, at level 2, you're going to get automatically weakening wounds. So this is a nice feature here. When making sneak attacks against a creature that has damage reduction, the character's attack reduction attacks reduces that damage reduction for 2 rounds by an amount equal to your character level. So this is pretty important. So at max level, this could lower damage reduction by 20 potentially. So it's something that's going to help you out. It's going to help you out more early to mid game when you don't have ways of bypassing damage reduction for enemies. But it's a nice feat. You're also going to get evasion, which is going to be nice and helpful for you. Level 3 is the final level you have no control over, and you're going to get double slice, which will let you get additional damage bonus to your offhand weapon. And you're also automatically going to get finesse daggers. This is important because we're only putting 10 points into Eldritch Scoundrel overall. So this means we're not going to get a second choice of this, and it kind of leans us into focusing on daggers. And it's going to allow you to add your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to your damage roll. So both your 2-hit, which you got from weapon finesse, and your damage bonuses are going to be coming from your dexterity. Now, level 4 is the first level you're going to choose, and you're going to continue by putting another level in Eldritch Scoundrel. You're going to get a stat point, and you're going to put it into intelligence. We want to get it from a base 18 to 20 as soon as we can. So that's going to get us up to 19 base. Now for spells, you're going to pick up Bear's Endurance. It's going to increase your Constitution and also your Fortitude saving throws. We're not going to be most likely getting a belt that increases our Constitution. If you happen to get one that buffs both your Dexterity and Constitution, awesome, that's up to you. But this allows you to get a belt that, for example, just has the best Dexterity possible. So Bear's Endurance is going to be a nice, easy buff you can throw on him. And also Mirror Image, that's going to be a nice way to defend yourself in case things do hit you. At level 5, we're going to be picking up Dodge. This is important because it's going to be a prerequisite for Duelist. So we want to get that. It also increases our AC, so we can't go wrong with that. And for spells, we're going to be picking up Blur, which again is going to give us 20% concealment. And we're also going to get protection from arrows because we don't use a shield. This is a nice buff that's going to last a long time and going to protect you for up to 100 damage worth of range attacks. Range attacks are a complete pain in the butt for unshielded characters, so this is a nice buff to throw on yourself. At level 6, we're going to get another level of Eldritch Scoundrel. And the main choice you're going to be making here, again, is going to be spell related. So here we pick up a level 1 spell of Enlarged Person. As I mentioned in the overview, this is situational. Yes, it lowers your Dexterity and AC. Early in the game, though, if you find yourself getting beat up, this is a situational spell that you can cast on yourself. It's going to increase how much damage your daggers do, but most importantly, it's going to give you reach. So if you have a lot of frontline fighters, this allows you to basically attack from a back row and protect Woljif if you find that he's dying a lot. And then as you level up and he becomes more tanky and independent, you will never use this. And the other spell I like picking up is Animal Aspect. You can choose to give a variety of buffs to him. Gorilla is nice. It's a +4 competency bonus to CMB, so you don't get tripped or disarmed, etc. Or you could, for example, get Raccoon to get a +2 competency bonus to Trickery and Stealth. That's really, really popular. Or you can even boost your movement speed with Raptor before you get Haste. At level 7, we're going to pick up another level of Eldritch Scoundrel. And the big thing here is we're picking up combat mobility. And the reason for this is that this is also a prerequisite for Duelist. So this is also helpful since you're going to be very mobile. You want to move wherever you want. And it's going to protect you and increase your armor class in case you proc attacks of opportunities from enemies. This is also spell-wise a very important level. You're going to be getting Heroism. Now it's going to start with 10 minutes, but before long you're going to make this last 24 hours. And so this is going to give you a nice bonus to attack, to saves, and skill checks, and also displacement. So when you're in a tough boss encounter, I like throwing this on Woljif, and it's going to make it so that he has 50% chance to basically miss against them. It's going to 50% basically concealment effect on him. So this is going to be yet another layer of protection. At level 8, we're going to pick up the final level of Eldritch Scoundrel for quite a while. The reason we pick up this level is because we want to get Uncanny Dodge. This is going to be important when we combine some of the feature of the Duelist, because they make it so that even if they were to normally get caught flat-footed, they won't. So they're not going to lose their Dexterity bonus to AC in that case, or if the attacker is invisible. And because of a lot of the bonuses from Duelist rely on you maintaining your Dexterity bonus to AC, this is a way to protect yourself and make sure you maintain those buffs. You're also going to get a stat point, so we're going to put it into Intelligence, and this will get you a baseline of 20 Intelligence. It give you extra skill points to allocate, as we mentioned in the overview. And this is also where we pick up the other two very important spells. One is going to be Haste, and this if you don't have other characters to cast it, will situationally give you a really nice buff. Increase your movement speed by 30 feet, +1 to attacks, to dodge AC, reflex saves, and most importantly, it's going to give you another full attack at your main, with your main weapon at your full BAB. So this is very powerful. And then the other thing is protection from arrows communal. Remember, we're going to be buffing this up to where this will potentially last 24 hours. And so this will give the whole party an extra 100 hit points that can be allocated when it comes to damage reduction versus ranged attacks. So you're providing a benefit not just to yourself as you did at early levels, but also to the rest of the party. Now at level 9 is when we start getting our levels in Duelist. Now this is a very important level when you're going to decide a big part of your build. I chose to pick up Outflank, which is going to make it when you're flanking with another character that has Outflank to give you a +4 instead of +2 to attack. Also, whenever you score a critical hit against the flanked creature, which you're going to do a lot, you're going to eventually have a 17 to 20 crit rate. It will provoke an attack of opportunity from your ally. So this is going to be quite potent. Now, because of the limited amount of feat slots we have and the requirements for this build, I chose this. I chose not to pick up Piranha Strike. Now, for those of you that don't know, Piranha Strike is like power attack for dexterity. It means as you level up, you're going to get plus damage, but you're going to sacrifice to hit. Now, Woljif, the way I have him built out here, is very tanky, and he's going to also be fighting defensively. So he's going to already be losing 2 hit from that. So if you combine that with the -4 or -5 eventually 2 hit, it's going to make it that he's missing constantly. This is why I do not choose Piranha Strike for this build. By not taking Piranha Strike, you're still going to have really, really good 2 hit against enemies. You're going to be hitting consistently. You're going to be critting a lot. And while each individual hit and damage is not going to be as potent, you're still going to be hitting 8 times potentially around. So it's kind of death by deadly paper cuts methodology here. So again, on my spreadsheet, I point out that if you really, really want Piranha Strike, go ahead. And this would be the feat that I would swap out. Otherwise, I recommend Outflank here. Now, for Duelist, I want to emphasize 2 of the features. One of them we're not going to utilize. So Precision Strike we're going to not utilize because it requires you to only use 1 weapon and nothing in the other hand or shield, but that's fine. What we're going to care about is canny defense. So when wearing light or no armor, and we're going to wear no armor, and not using a shield, you get 1 point of intelligence bonus, if any, per Duelist class level as a dodge bonus to your armor class while wielding a melee weapon. And remember when I said uncanny dodge is important? That's important from the earlier level, because if you cut flat-footed or otherwise denied your dex bonus, you also lose this bonus. And if we look under our AC at high levels, you'll see canny dodge bonus is +8. So we're getting a stacking 8 AC from this buff alone. That is huge and well worth dipping the levels into Duelist. Now, at level 10, we're going to put another level into Duelist. And here we're going to unlock the parry feature. So let me explain this. So at 2nd level, Duelist learns to parry melee attacks of other creatures, causing them to miss. Whenever the Duelist makes a full attack, which is constantly, with a light or one-handed piercing weapon, which you're doing, you can attempt to parry the first attack against her or the first attack against adjacent allies. And this is a toggle. I have it set to myself, but you could technically protect others next to you if you're near like a squishy caster. So to parry the attack, the Duelist makes an attack roll using the same bonus as the attack she chose to forgo during her previous action. If her attack roll is greater than the roll of the attacking creature, the attack automatically misses. For each size category, the attacking creature is larger than the Duelist takes a -4 penalty on attack roll. The Duelist also takes a -4 penalty when attempting to parry an attack made against an adjacent ally. So This is why I like to parry myself. It's just too hard to parry enemy attacks against allies, but you could. Also, it's not as effective against top or powerful enemies. You can disable this as well if you wish, but it's a feature that can definitely help out. You're also going to get improved reaction, which is going to increase your initiative checks, and that will increase later, so you get to go first more often. At level 11, we're going to be picking up the improved two-weapon fighting feat, giving you an extra attack with your offhand. And then this is going to also enable enhanced mobility. When wearing light or no armor, not using shield, you get an additional +4 bonus to AC against attacks of opportunity, which basically when they're caused when you move out of threatened square. So you're going to get a +8 AC moving out of those situations. So basically you can pretty much freely move wherever you want and not really worry about getting smacked as you move around. At level 12, you're going to pick up your 4th level Duelist. You're going to get a stat point, and we're going to start stacking dexterity here. You're going to automatically get combat reflexes as a free feat. So you may make a number of additional attacks of opportunity per round equal to your dexterity bonus. And you're going to have a +8 bonus, so you can do as many as possible, pretty much. You're also going to get Grace. So a Duelist gains an additional +2 competence bonus on all reflex saving throws. You're going to notice you're going to have huge reflex saves. In my setup, I have +36 to reflex saves. So that is definitely a hot spot for this character. At level 13, you're going to pick up another level of Duelist. And you're going to get greater two-weapon fighting also. So this is going to give you a 3rd attack with your offhand at a -10 penalty. You're also going to get Riposte. So at this level, a Duelist can make an attack of opportunity against any creatures whose attack you successfully parries, as long as you're within reach. So this is going to give you chances at extra attacks. You're going to have attacks when you outflank with other enemies, when they crit. You're going to also, whenever you parry, so on top of your eventual 8 attacks, you're going to have consistent opportunities for additional attacks because of Riposte. At level 14, you're going to pick up a 6th level in Duelist. And the main thing you're going to gain here is going to be a feature called Acrobatic Movement. So Duelist movement speed is no longer reduced on difficult terrain, but depending on the circumstance, you may still need to make appropriate checks to successfully move over the terrain, but you will not move slower. At level 15, we're going to get a feat called Weapon Focus Dagger. This is +1 bonus on all attack rolls using daggers. This is important that +1 does make a difference, and you're going to have so many attacks that this adds up and can definitely cause you to get quite a few hits over the gameplay. This is also level 7 of Duelist, where you're going to get Elaborate Defense. So if you choose to fight defensively, and this is when I start fighting defensively with this character, in melee combat you gain an additional +1 dodge bonus to AC for every 3 levels of Duelist you attain. So by level 9, this will be an additional +3 AC. This is in addition to the additional extra AC that you get from fighting defensively. Do note that the fighting defensively bonus doesn't get shown here when you mouse over your armor class. So your AC is actually higher than 53. So you do see the Elaborate Defense +3, but you're going to have additional armor class from actual fighting defensively as well. At level 16, we're going to pick up our 8th level of Duelist. You're going to get an additional stat point. I'm going to put that into Dexterity to even things out. You're also going to get your 2nd part of Improved Reaction, so you're going to have +4 to your initiative checks, which is nice. At level 17, we're going to get Improved Critical Dagger as a feat, which is going to be real nice. You're going to be critting quite often once you get your daggers kitted out. You're also going to get some cool features from Duelist. You're going to get Deflect Arrows. So it's a bonus feat like the Deflect Arrow feat. whenever you use a light or one-handed piercing weapon. But unlike the monk feat, you do not need a free hand to use the feat. So you will get an additional deflection of the first projectile that comes against you. So on top of that, protection from arrows, this is just additional defense against range attacks. Now you're also going to get the note retreat feature. So whenever an enemy actually uses the withdraw action to get away from you, normally withdraw is a way to get away without causing an attack of opportunity. Well, the Duelist is still going to proc that. It's not going to come up very often, but it's nice. No matter what people do, they're gonna, if they try and get away from you, they're going to proc attacks of opportunity. And then finally at level 18, we're going to get the final level of Duelist, level 10, and you're going to get Crippling Critical. So whenever you confirm a critical hit, and you are going to eventually have a 17 to 20 crit range, with a light or one-handed piercing weapon, which is going to be your dagger, you can apply one of the following penalties in addition to the damage dealt. So you can either lower their movement speed by half, 1d4 point of strength or dex. You can also, what's really popular is -4 to armor class, or you can do 2d6 bleeding damage. My favorites are -4 to AC is my favorite, followed by strength. Again, the AC is gonna, the debuff is gonna make it so of your 8+ attacks, you're gonna be hitting more and more often. And because you do crit on a regular basis, this is going to be very powerful. Now, for level 19, we're going to go back to Eldritch Scoundrel levels. And so we're going to be picking up Accomplished Sneak Attacker. This is going to give you an additional 1d6 sneak attack damage. This is just kind of layering on the large amount of sneak attack damage you're going to be doing. And then also for spells, we're going to pick See Invisibility Communal. At high levels, there's quite a few enemies that go invisible. So this is something that's going to last 24 hours. You can cast it on the party, and they're going to all get the benefit of See Invisible. So it's a nice little supportive buff. Now, at level 20, you're going to pick up Eldritch Scoundrel, the final level of it. Now, for whatever reason, this bugged out for me. You're supposed to get an advanced talent. And for me, I did not get to choose this. Be careful when you respec. Make sure you get this. I don't know if it's because I had equipment on, but make sure you get this and then re-respec if you're having issues. But you have a variety of options you can choose from. Here's the full list of advanced talents that you can choose from. And then as far as which ones to choose, I like to choose either Crippling Strike. So whenever you're sneak attacking, you're just destroying their strength. Some people also like dispelling attacks to basically strip debuffs from enemies, but for me, I like Crippling Strike, so it completely destroys any kind of melee attackers and making them quite weak. You're also going to get a stat point, and I actually like to put it in Constitution. It was my only odd stat, so it's just going to give you extra Fortitude save and some extra hit points, which doesn't hurt. And for your level 4 spells, you can pick up Greater Animal Aspect, which I like. Again, this is going to end up lasting for 24 hours. And it's going to give you one of the options here. So you can get +4 competency bonus to mobility, or +4 to trickery and stealth. That's probably the one you want. You probably don't need Raptor because you should have haste. Or finally, you can have Gorilla, which +2 competency bonus to perception checks and 1 competency bonus to fortitude saves. Now, you can choose different buffs between Greater Animal Aspect and Animal Aspect as long as they're different, and they will stack. And then Protection from Energy Communal is really nice too. It's an extra 120 points of damage absorption for you and the party, and you can choose whichever element that you're fighting. So if you're going against enemies that have acid or electricity or fire, those are pretty common. You can protect you and your group. So you're not only protecting yourself, but also your group. All right, and now we're going to take a quick look at the Mythic Level 1 to 10 spreadsheet. Now do note, there's tabs at the bottom. So you have the level 1 to 20 no more leveling up, and then a tab for these feats for quick reference. And now we will go ahead and take a look at all our choices and why we chose them. Alright, so at Mythic Level 1, we're going to get Bypass Epic Damage Reduction for free. And we're going to get Archmage Armor. We want to get this right off the bat because this is going to be consistently increasing our AC. Now, Mage Armor increases our AC by 4 naturally, and then for every level here, it's going to give you an extra AC, meaning at Mythic Level 10, it's going to give you plus 10 armor. Your Mage Armor, which will last 24 hours because of some of these choices here, will give you 14 AC, which is as much AC as some of the best full plate armor. So a full plate armor plus 5 is 14 AC as well, but you don't get all the negatives. At Mythic Level 2, we're going to get 2 weapon fighting. Mythic, this is huge. Your penalties to attack rolls for fighting with 2 weapons is reduced by 2. Because we have so many attacks, this is huge. At Mythic Level 3, we're going to get Enduring Spell, which is basically going to be the first of 2 buffs that are going to increase the durations of your spells. And I'm going to show you right now what that leads to. So, if we look at our character and his endgame buffs, you'll notice when you have both of these buffs, a majority of your buffs are going to be 24 hours. So Protection from Fire Communal, 24 hours. Heroism, 24 hours. Protection from Arrow Communal, 24 hours. See Invisibility, 24 hours. Mirror Image, not that you're going to have it last 24 hours, but it can last up to 24 hours. Blur is 24 hours. Bear's Endurance is 24 hours. Animal Aspect Gorilla that I chose, 24 hours. Mage Armor, 24 hours. And the only things that are not going to apply to this are going to be Haste and Displacement. These two, because they're 1 round per second, don't get impacted. But all of your other self buffs are going to be 24 hours. And this is why we chose that feat. Now, they will not be 24 hours till we get both of the feats. But you will notice that you get that by Mythic Level 5, which isn't that bad. Now, Mythic Level 4, we're going to get Flawless Attacks. So this is also important because it says you only suffer a -4 penalty on your iterative attacks instead of -5. Now, this confused me at first, but iterative attacks are your non-main attacks. So basically, you always have one primary attack that at your full BAB, at your first attack bonus, but then as you level up, you're going to get iterative attacks. So the first one is normally at -5, then -10, -15. Now it's going to be at -4, -8, and so forth. So this is actually going to, across your potential 8 attacks when you play the game, going to help you out quite a bit with making you hit more consistently, which is again the key to this build. As mentioned earlier, at Mythic Level 5, you're going to get greater enduring spells. This combination is huge. This is why we get it so early. At Mythic Level 6, we're going to get Weapon Focus Mythic Daggers. So this is going to basically double your attack bonus from Weapon Focus. So basically we get +2 to all of your dagger attacks. So this does have a big, profound impact because you do so many attacks. It may seem like not a huge bonus, but it does add up, and it's going to help you hit consistently. At Mythic Level 7, you're going to get Unrelenting Assault. This is big because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of your base damage based off this build out because of no Piranha Strike. But because you're going to hit so often, you're going to build up this damage bonus very quickly. And it's going to equate to +10 damage on all your attacks very, very quickly. So this helps compensate for that lack of Piranha Strike. And it has no downside. Mythic Level 8, very important, improved critical Mythic Daggers. This is how you get your daggers to get that 17 to 20 range. They're going to be critting all the time, and they're going to be extremely deadly. Mythic Level 9 is going to be very helpful as well, Leading Strike. Every time you hit a target in melee combat, you leave a mark. And then any ally attacking the marked target deals additional divine damage equal to 1d6 per your mythic rank, consuming it. So at this point, it's 96, and it will max out at 10d6. Divine damage, very hard to resist. And because you should be flanking with people to get your outflank bonuses, this is going to be applied constantly, and since you will probably hit faster than your allies, chances are anytime they attack, they're also going to be doing an extra 96 or eventually 10d6 divine damage. So this is a nice DPS boost. And then finally, Mythic Level 10, which you're not going to get till very, very high end game. We're going to get Mythic Sneak Attacker. It's an additional 1d6 of sneak attack damage. You're going to have a ton of this, and this is going to help buff that even higher. All right, now I'm going to go over some example end game gear that I chose. With the helmet, I chose Headband of Mental Perfection. This one gives you +6 to Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. This helps out with some of your Charisma checks and Intelligence checks. Now, if you want to give this to a different character, because these are quite rare, you can also do a +6 to Intelligence headband, and that's perfectly fine as well, since that is your main non-dexterity stat. For the goggles, I like the Rascal's Goggles. This is +10 competency bonus to Perception and Trickery. Both two things you're going to specialize in, so these are best in slot for him. For Cloak, you want a Cloak of Resistance. +6 is optimal, but if you don't have that, +4, +5 is fine. First ring is going to be Ring of Protection +4. Again, buffing that AC as high as we can. Now, for the secondary ring, pick whichever one is the best that you have that fits your build. Based off my other characters I have in my party, all I had left over for this character was a Ring of Luck, which is not bad, +1 luck bonus on all saving throws. So, because you don't find luck bonuses that often, this stacks with all your other bonuses. For Bracers of Heavy Hand, I love these. You're going to get a +3 bonus on damage rolls of offhand weapons when dual wielding. So this doesn't show up innately in your damage profile, but it's an additional +3 damage, and it's very, very nice. Now my neck piece is a little controversial. I have the Nahandrian League Collar. This you get in Act 4 if you basically fight in the, I believe, in the kind of Colosseum. It's a +4 natural armor enhancement, but also it gives you +4 bonus to reflex and fortitude, but -4 to will saves. This is going to be up to you. I decided to lean really heavy into having really high reflex saves. I knew my will saves weren't going to be great no matter what. So if you want to lean in heavy and never miss a reflex save, this is the way to go. Now, if you don't like taking the -4 penalty to will saving throws, simply just get a +4 natural armor bonus neck piece, and that's going to be fine. You won't get the bonuses to reflex and fortitude, but you're not going to get the negative either. You're obviously not going to wear any armor. And then for the shirt, I chose to pick Lore Master's Robe, +3 bonus on all knowledge and lore checks, as well as the +2 reflex save. I mainly got it for the reflex save, but it's also going to give you +3 to knowledge arcana. For a belt, for me, I just happen to have a Belt of Physical Flow. Gives +4 strength damage and dex Now for a belt, I got the Belt of Physical Flow +4. Mainly for the +4 dexterity. You could get a +4 dex, +4 constitution, but remember, you're going to have a 24-hour lasting constitution belt, which you don't need. In a perfect world, if you had like a +6 to dex, that'd be awesome. Now, the reason I don't mind the +4 strength is potentially depending on how my weapon's special ability works. I'll mention that in just a second when we look at the weapons. If the damage from that weapon converts to dexterity, then the strength is unnecessary. But if it doesn't, then this +4 strength actually helps out. You'll see what I talk about when we look at the main hand and offhand weapons. For the gloves, I got Gloves of Dueling because we're a duelist. So they give you a +4 bonus to CMB against disarm checks. So this is basically going to make it so you're much less likely to get disarmed. If you have something else that's better, you can throw it in, but this was just a way to protect my character, and I didn't have anything better. And then for boots, I like Expedition Boots. +10 competent bonus to athletics, which is fine. We don't specialize in athletics. If you chose to pump points into athletics instead of use magic devices, this is fine. But it gives you +5 competence bonus to mobility, which is something you specialize in. Now, a special notice here is if you happen to get this little guy, if you unlock the Dragon Burial Ground in Act 5, you can get this little dude, and he's going to add a random 1d4 cold, fire, acid, or electricity damage on successful hits with a weapon. Because you are attacking so often, this is going to add up. It's going to be a lot of damage that adds up. So I like to give it to this character because nobody else in my party attacks as many times as Woljif for me. Now that brings us to weapons. I chose the special combination of 2 synergistic +5 daggers. They are called Soft Cut and Deep Rip. It's very important you put Soft Cut in your main hand. And you'll notice it's kind of weird effect. It says, this +5 dagger deals 1 slashing damage instead of 1d4 piercing damage. However, when dual wielding along with Deep Rip dagger, Soft Cut activates its additional damage or additional power. So that means you're going to hit with Soft Cut, and you want to make sure you get that hit first. When that happens, and remember, this is a 72 to 20 times 3 crit weapon, you'll proc Deep Rip. So each time the wielder of this +5 dagger lands a hit, after hitting the same target with Soft Cut, the enemy suffers an additional 2d6 plus strength modifier slashing damage. This is why that +4 to strength played a role. Now, we have all these feats that make it so that we get bonuses from dex instead of strength. I'm assuming it does not impact this. If it somehow does, awesome, you'll get +8. But chances are it doesn't, which means this would be an additional 2d6 plus 2 in our case bonus, unless you had somehow buffed your strength even higher. But this is significant because remember, a normal dagger is 1d4. That basically turns that primary dagger into a 2d6 plus, in my case, 2 damage of slash damage that you add. If the weapon deals damage against a prone or paralyzed creature, first time in a round, it deals double the weapon damage. So this is extremely deadly. And so this combination of +5 daggers causes Woljif to just absolutely tear up enemies. If you don't have this combination of daggers, obviously pick the very best one-handed daggers you can and have them equipped. Now finally, we're going to kind of look at your buffs when you are fully buffed here. You're going to notice stat-wise, you're going to have 26 intelligence, 26 dexterity, pretty balanced there. That extra +2 to strength bonus from your belt. Now, as far as attacks, you will notice you're going to have 5 baseline attacks. Don't mind the low damage profile here. Again, this is based off the special daggers. And then you're going to also have 3 more attacks with your offhand. So this is a total of 8 attacks around potentially. Now, here's the key thing. You're going to have 53 AC before calculating your fighting defensively. So this is huge. You're going to be pushing almost 60 AC. You're going to have protection against energy, protection against arrows. You're going to be deflecting arrows. You should theoretically be untouchable. You're going to have 20% concealment all the time. And situationally, you can have displacement to have 50% concealment. You're going to have insane reflex saves, okay fortitude saves, and then your will save is going to be your weakest. You should be able to zip around the map, absolutely annihilate everything. Don't forget to take advantage of all those outflank bonuses to push these attack bonuses to closer to +40. So he's going to be a nice killing machine. Alright guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, smash that notification bell to be notified when new videos come. As always, if you want to help me out and my little channel grow, one of the best things you can do is drop a comment. Let me know what you like about the videos. Provide me constructive feedback as you see fit. And as always, if you want to find other ways to support me, do check all the links in my description. Come and check me out when I stream on twitch.tv/Leroy Gaming stream as well. Alright guys, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.